Today, we'll be discussing two prominent Jewish sects mentioned in the Bible, the Sadducees and the Pharisees. We'll explore who they were, why they disagreed with each other, and their role in the biblical narrative, with a particular focus on the account of Paul's trial in the book of Acts. To understand the Sadducees and Pharisees, it's essential to consider the historical context in which they emerged. During the Second Temple period, which lasted from the 6th century BCE to the 1st century CE, the Jewish people faced numerous challenges, including foreign occupation, cultural assimilation, and religious divisions. The Sadducees and Pharisees arose as distinct groups within this complex social and religious landscape. While both claimed to represent authentic Jewish faith and practice, they differed significantly in their beliefs, practices, and social status. The Sadducees were an elite, aristocratic group within Jewish society during the Second Temple period. They held significant power and influence, with many of them serving as high priests in the temple. The Sadducees primarily consisted of wealthy individuals who collaborated with the Roman authorities to maintain their status and authority. On the other hand, the Pharisees were mostly middle-class, educated Jews. They included many scribes and rabbis who were well-versed in the Jewish law and traditions. The Pharisees emphasized personal piety, prayer, and strict observance of the law. They often opposed the Roman occupation and the influence of Hellenistic culture on Jewish society. One of the primary reasons for the disagreement between the Sadducees and Pharisees was their differing theological beliefs. The Sadducees accepted only the written Torah, which consists of the first 5 books of the Bible, as authoritative. They did not believe in the concept of an afterlife, resurrection, or the existence of angels and spirits. In contrast, the Pharisees accepted both the written Torah and oral traditions, which were later compiled in the Talmud. They believed in the afterlife, resurrection, and the existence of angels and spirits. The Pharisees placed great importance on personal piety and strict adherence to Jewish law in daily life. In the New Testament, both the Sadducees and Pharisees are often portrayed as antagonists to Jesus Christ. They frequently challenged his teachings and authority, questioning his interpretation of the law and his claims of divinity. The Sadducees, who emphasized the importance of the temple and its sacrificial system, saw Jesus as a threat to their power and influence. They collaborated with the Roman authorities to suppress his ministry and ultimately played a role in his crucifixion. The Pharisees, known for their legalistic approach to religion, are often depicted as hypocritical in the Gospels. They emphasized outward observance of the law while neglecting its spirit. Jesus frequently criticized the Pharisees for their hypocrisy and lack of compassion. However, it's important to note that not all Pharisees were hostile to Jesus. Some, like Nicodemus and Joseph of Arimathea, are shown in a more positive light, indicating that there was diversity within the group. A prime example of the differences and tensions between the Sadducees and Pharisees can be seen in the account of Paul's trial before the Sanhedrin in Acts 23. The Sanhedrin was the Jewish high court, consisting of both Sadducees and Pharisees that had authority over religious and some civil matters. Paul, a former Pharisee, was brought before the Sanhedrin on charges related to his Christian faith. Knowing the theological differences between the Sadducees and Pharisees, Paul cleverly mentioned the resurrection of the dead, a belief held by the Pharisees but rejected by the Sadducees. Acts 23 6-10 records. Paul, knowing that some of them were Sadducees and the others Pharisees, called out in the Sanhedrin, "My brothers, I am a Pharisee, descended from Pharisees. I stand on trial because of the hope of the resurrection of the dead." When he said this, a dispute broke out between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. The Sadducees say that there is no resurrection, and that there are neither angels nor spirits. But the Pharisees believe all these things. There was a great uproar, and some of the teachers of the law who were Pharisees stood up and argued vigorously. "We find nothing wrong with this man," they said. "What if a spirit or an angel has spoken to him?" The dispute became so violent that the commander was afraid Paul would be torn to pieces by them. He ordered the troops to go down and take him away from them by force and bring him into the barracks. This incident highlights the deep-seated disagreements between the Sadducees and Pharisees. It also demonstrates how their differing beliefs could lead to heated arguments and even physical violence. Paul's mention of the resurrection sparked an intense debate, revealing the passion with which each group held to their theological convictions. Furthermore, this account shows how the early Christian movement, particularly Paul's ministry, was influenced by and interacted with these Jewish sects. As a former Pharisee, Paul was well acquainted with their beliefs and practices, and he used this knowledge to navigate the complex religious and political landscape of his time. The debates and disagreements between the Sadducees and Pharisees shaped the religious and political landscape. Their interpretations of Jewish law and traditions influenced the development of Judaism and Judaism, and to some extent, early Christianity. While the Sadducees faded from history after the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE, the Pharisees' teachings and traditions continued to evolve. Many of their beliefs and practices form the basis of modern rabbinic Judaism. Understanding the roles and beliefs of the Sadducees and Pharisees provides valuable context for reading and interpreting the New Testament. It helps us better comprehend the religious and political climate in which Jesus lived and taught, as well as the challenges he faced from these influential groups. Moreover, the account of Paul's trial demonstrates the ongoing tensions between these Jewish sects and the emerging Christian movement. It showcases how early Christian leaders, like Paul, had to navigate a complex web of religious and political alliances and rivalries as they spread the message of the gospel. In conclusion, the Sadducees and Pharisees were two major Jewish sects with differing theological beliefs and societal roles. Their interactions with Jesus and Paul, as recorded in the Bible, offer insights into the religious tensions of the time and the radical nature of the Christian message. By studying these groups and their conflicts, we gain a deeper appreciation for the historical and cultural background of the biblical narrative and the challenges faced by the early church.